I'm not convinced a 22-year-old necessarily needs love. But fundamentally, love is the desire for self-sacrifice for the benefit of another.
If all Indian podcasters were in a big boss house, who would be the first one to start drama?
What do you imagine, Ranveer starting drama? Don't laugh at that.
I think Ranveer
That's
is done with
suggestive.
drama. Raj Shamani.
Extremely smart, extremely hardworking, brilliantly business-minded. The content is too boring to watch.
You should see his podcast with me.
Okay.
Where he was on the show. He's like fully unfiltered and it was one of our best.
My honest feedback apart from the jokes, I think you're the most emotionally mature voice in the game. This more recent standoff between India and the United States about tariffs is symptom of the fact that now India is no longer just some
Like we can't be bullied.
Yeah, we can't be bullied. We're not some sidey country either. We are heavyweights.
Yeah.
And India has one of the largest English-speaking populations in the world.
Correct.
Then why does India not participate in the English-speaking discourse of the world? We are already in the future. India cannot be on the last seat of the conversation of future. And that's probably why people love Shashi Tharoor. When he talks, there's no Englishman who'd talk like that. And there's no Englishman who'd stand his charm or his wit at the same time. Halfway through my career, there's a certain point where I'm like, I just don't have any more desire to be seen. It's like saying ki now I live more poetically. What my dream is to start a personal brand that competes globally. I do not necessarily want to keep myself bounded to India. I think India can represent itself in the world very well. नाम करो, नामा अपने आप आ जाएगा.
Hi Prakhar.
Hi Karishma.
Welcome to Humans of Bombay.
Thank you.
But you're welcoming me in Delhi.
So it's Humans of Faridabad.
Correct.
For a brief
Humans of
while.
Faridabad.
Yes.
You welcome me.
Welcome Karishma.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to Humans of Faridabad. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. How does it feel to be on the opposite side of the podcast?
I am much more used to answering questions than asking questions. So it's kind of natural. But I feel like as I've grown, there is all these concerns about brand safety. And they kind of bring me nervousness right before I walk into any conversation because I know I've always gotten in trouble for my mouth. And so I always anticipate by the time I'm done recording a podcast, I'll be in trouble, whether it's my podcast or somebody else. So I'm feeling the right amount of nervous.
So same here basically.
Yeah, right. We get it.
So tell me, did you always want to be in the limelight the way you are right now, right? Aapke reels itne sare viral hote hai, lots of people relate to your content. Did you have that thing even in your childhood ki, I'll be center stage?
Very reflective question. So in hindsight, I think I can say that because when this was happening, whether that's content or whether this urge manifesting itself in many ways, I didn't know that this is a desire to be seen, right? I didn't phrase it like that. But now when I look back and now when the desire to be seen is somewhat extinguished, like now it's not that, that's not what drives me anymore. I realized certain few things. One, I remember very distinctly back in 2015, this is way before any of this happened. I'd actually gone to see Carrie Minati once because he lives in the same city as I, his brother and I know each other. So I'd gone to see him to ask questions about how does YouTube work. And so there's an early symptom of me trying to see how independent media, alternate media, being in media operates. Also, what's true is, for a long time, I think school time, etc., I was always competing, always on stage, always fighting, competing, winning, all those things. But my father is very interesting because my father would insist on this. Naam karo, nama apne aap aa jayega. To some version of this. So, he's always been very fond of respect and reputation. Those men of that generation, And so, I think he molded me to look at life a little more like this. And so I think if you also look at how humans drive themselves, there are 3 or 4 core motivations that occur, right? And largely all of those 3-4 core motivations can be boiled to 1 or 2 broad parameters. So for instance, for men, status is very important. Ab wo status paise se aaye, power se aaye, ya fame se aaye, variations. And eventually men will find themselves chasing one of the 3-4 options that are available. So I think my outlet, and it happened very organically, and I'm glad I was not aware of it, was to be seen first, and then money came into the picture, and then power becomes much more obvious, and the things start rolling like that. So I think, in hindsight, one can say I desire to be seen, but I think it's much more extinguished now. I've been seen enough. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
So you said, it doesn't motivate you anymore. So
not as much, yes.
So what motivates you now?
To try and live out my dream. And I've thought about it very deeply, actually, because I don't think this happens with artists generally, or if they do, I've never spoken to anyone about it. But halfway through my career, there's a certain point where I'm like, I just don't have any more desire to be seen. And now what am I driven by? And then I spent the next couple of years trying to make money. Because money is foundational. When you start growing up, you got to like make sure things are this and that. And then I had money. And then I was like, okay, now what? And so only recently, last month, I had a fantastic experience in Miami where I was walking down some random street by myself thinking about what I wanted in life. And I was like, I want to live my dream life. I want to do what I'm meant to do. And I want to ask questions of purpose again. Now that I've been dealing in the practical, pragmatic world for so long, answering questions about fame, money, etc. Now let's put that aside and let's see what happens when you don't care. What flows out naturally. And so, see, this is the conversation I have with myself. I don't expect people to relate, understand or appreciate. But it's like saying ki now I live more poetically, at least very recently. And we don't know how long that will last.
Correct.
But it's fun.
But what's the dream that you were saying? I want to live out my dream. Everybody has a dream state.
Yeah.
Everybody has a, this would be a dream.
Right.
So what is that for you?
Right. That was also very tricky because when I first came to ask about my dream and what my dream would be, एक तो कोई कैसे आंसर करता है कि मेरे को X बनना है? इतनी लंबी जिंदगी है.
Correct.
And all timelines are shrunk by so much thanks to the internet and information technology. How do you say I want to be this 40 years from now? 40 years from now, जीवन में क्या हो रहा होगा किसको पता है? Like look at the way artificial intelligence changing the landscape of things.
Everything.
Everything. And it's like when you really come in contact with AI, apart from just chatbots, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And I had some like very scary experiences in the US right now. But I think what I did was I said, अच्छा ऐसा करते हैं, next 3 years में क्या करना है? And what's your dream in the next 3 years? And let's plan it out like that. So what my dream is to start a media brand, personal brand that competes globally.
Okay.
I do not necessarily want to keep myself bounded to India. I think India can represent itself in the world very well. And I'd love to take a shot at that. I'd love to find, you see, there's something very unique happening. In the 10 years that India has been talking on social media, on Twitter and Instagram about itself, you know what I'm talking about, all this. There has been this sort of paranoia ki bhai, the world is against us, right? And whether that paranoia is justified or not, I'm not here to comment. But more recently, it is true that India is on the conversation table. And not favorably, right? Like right now, the way a lot of the loud Western world is looking at India is very unfavorable if you're in touch with what's happening on Twitter and such, right? Not only that, this more recent standoff between India and the United States about tariffs is a symptom of the fact that now India is no longer just some
like we
country.
Can't be bullied.
Yeah, we can't be bullied. We're not some sidey country either. We are heavyweights.
Yeah.
And India has one of the largest English-speaking populations in the world.
Correct.
Then why does India not participate in the English-speaking discourse of the world? And so I think we have arrived at that moment where there has to be some way for India to speak for itself in English. And that's probably why people love Shashi Tharoor. I'm only quoting him as an example. Like when he talks, there's no Englishman who'd talk like that. And there's no Englishman who'd stand his charm or his wit at the same time. So I think more of that needs to happen. And I'm trying to fight for that. That's part of what it means to live my dream for the next 3 to 5 years.
Have you seen this Shashi Tharoor video on why Britain owes us reparations?
Is this the Oxford
It was
University?
an Oxford University. It's so scientific, not scientifically, but just like with fact on history and legacy and politics, how he explains it. I really believe that, there's so much merit in dialogue and there's so much merit in conversation around very important subjects that have just been swept under the carpet. So basically, when you say, you want to kind of step that up or amp that up on a India level, how do you see yourself taking a step towards that dream?
I can't promise I have a plan, but I fight. And so I think the first step is really just, it's psychological. You stop thinking Indian first content, right?
Yeah.
And what that automatically does is it self-selects for people who are interested in global discourse.
Got it.
है ना? तो audience वही आएगी जो सुनना चाहती है. And then the second step is you start talking to people who talk about global issues, let's just say. And from there, more steps will become obvious is my hope.
Yeah.
But I find that to be a symptom of a dream well dreamed that you don't even know how you're going to go about it.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very fresh. Like this is literally 30 days or less in.
Yeah.
And
Also,
so we'll find out.
Also, there's beauty in just the fluidity, right? Like we'll see how it goes.
Yes, precisely.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very quintessential Humans of Bombay question, which I'm very infamous to ask, which is, what is love?
It's a very good question. I think at the very core, love, and this is spiritual, love is the consequence of peace. And peace is not just peace as in, oh, I feel peaceful inside. Peace is like profoundly felt spiritual peace. And you could get to that state in flow. For instance, if you are in, if you come out of a sports event and you've been in flow for 90 minutes, when you come back and look at your husband, your wife, your kids, your parents, your friends, what you experience in that moment is love. Probably happens right after you're done recording or I'm done recording, and we see, and there's this smile that comes about, there's this openness and wholesomeness. That experience is love. Now, love gets modeled into different relationships. And so you have romantic love. And romantic love is an evolution on love, sexual love or intimate love के ऊपर romance is a layer, and what romance is something very different. But fundamentally, love is the desire for self-sacrifice for the benefit of another. That's what it is. I think you put yourself second, and that automatically is love. And so you can see it in parents, you can see it in friends, you can see it in lovers, you can see it in kids, you can see it everywhere. When I put myself second for whoever, whether that is dogs or plants, or you automatically experience a sense of love, and it comes from safety. Otherwise, it would not come. And therefore, peace is a prerequisite. Because when you're at peace, you realize it's pretty safe out there. You can't be extinguished like that.
Got it. And what about gender roles, right? So like, I mean, I know you speak a lot about this on your, and I follow your reels. I used to post about certain things about what is attractive in men and what is attractive in women, right?
Sure.
Like, the definition of alpha, for example, for me was fundamentally skewed. In fact, like the first time I said this about being alpha male was when I interviewed with the late Ratan Tata sir. And he was so kind and so gentle with everybody around him, right? Like the most gentle he was with his stray, who was called Goa. And he said, you know, Goa adopted us. And he used to just hang around, have these meetings, and he was just so empathetic that I said, to be alpha is to be kind and relentless to make the world a better place. And to be soft or to be vulnerable is also a shade of that. And there were so many debates and arguments on the internet, of course, you know, how it goes.
Of course, I know, yes.
With those viewpoints. But what do you think about gender roles?
I want to actually start off by asking you something, because it seems like this question follows me, right? Gender roles, masculinity, all of this. But I don't know when I spoke about it in the last 3 years. So it seems like there is this invisible perception that I talk about it, and therefore I talk about it because people ask me, and I'm fine with that. Look, I think what I genuinely feel is that nobody in the content ecosystem fairly talks about masculinity. And so, because the way I carry myself is probably this is my guess, carry myself is very masculine, people assume I'd answer those questions. And at this point, I'm beginning to say, okay, reticent as I may be, I will answer this. Yeah. Now, you asked me 3 questions there. The first one is, what do I think of gender roles? The second one is, what do I think is alpha male? Are those fair?
Sure.
Which one do you want me to answer? First or second?
You can do 1, 2, both.
Both, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we are in a podcast.
Yeah. All we have is time.
Yeah, देख करिश्मा, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है gender roles is a longer and much more complicated philosophical discussion than what the internet provocateur talking point thing, the Andrew Tates of the world, or etc. do. I don't think that's the practical reality of gender roles. You could say, or one could say, कि यार अगर आप theoretically देखो, the way history has been, the way biology is shaped, and you can make endless arguments about that. But the truth of the matter is, in a relationship, gender roles are what you negotiate with the other person.
How do you explain?
Yeah, at the end of the day, 2 people have to live together. It's me and my wife.
Correct.
What we discuss as our roles in this partnership become gender roles. Now, I don't care if Ansh comes and tells me, Prakhar bhai, you should be making these decisions. If I don't make these decisions and my wife does, whatever Ansh thinks is up to him. He thinks I'm not manly enough for making this decision or doing this or that or not making money. That's up to Ansh's thought. Me and my wife should be comfortable. Are there not enough questions to be answered in a partnership that I need a third person to validate whether my gender roles are meeting that or not?
See, it's not about a validation or an answer, right?
Sure.
कि मुझे इस बंदे को आंसर देना है कि मैं ये क्यों नहीं कर रहा हूँ.
Sure.
The question is more about the cultural context of what has been acceptable or unacceptable in certain things, right?
Sure.
Like, I'll give you an example. The fundamental role of a woman not being a homemaker has moved over the last few decades.
Sure.
prior to that, it was skewed in a certain way.
Right.
So that's what you mean by the cultural context of gender roles, not what, and as it should be, right? Everybody should be having their own set of, this is what we are comfortable with and this is what we're good with. But there is that thing that lingers, right? Whether it's from family or it's friends or society or whoever, right? That this is how ye aise chala hai. So that's more of what my question is.
Which is exactly what I was answering. कैसे चला है या फैमिली एटसेट्रा की लिंगरिंग क्या है इज इमटेरियल टू द एक्चुअल डायनामिक ऑफ अ पार्टनरशिप और ऑफ टू इंडिविजुअल्स. नाउ क्यों चला है कैसे चला है का डिस्कशन बड़ा एंडलेस है. What I think should happen is that people should be allowed to choose the reality they want to live in. And while you are single, you live that reality alone with a little help from your parents, whatever. But when you're in a partnership, you negotiate that reality with another person.
Correct.
Right? And if I am comfortable with my wife bringing the bread home, then nobody else has anything really to say.
Yeah.
And if my wife is comfortable with me being at home tending to the kids, it's perfectly fine and beautiful. To each their own. The way the world has worked is for the world to kind of speculate on why that might have been, and there is endless arguments you can make theoretically about it. But practically speaking, at the end of the day, when the doors are closed, it's between the couple.
And wife.
Yeah, it's between the couple. Do I think more women should be working? I think the answer is we should have as many brilliant people working for the betterment of family, society, culture as possible. Whether that is men or women. Correct. I think this is an agendered question really. I think another way to say that is that the verbiage used to talk about gender roles can kind of make sense, but generally does not. So it seems to people कि हाँ ये सही कह रहा है. But when you actually are in a relationship, it's very different from what you can talk about on the internet. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. It's a complicated question.
What about the definition of alpha?
Yeah, right. That's interesting. So see, alpha male technically defined comes from wolves and chimps, right? There's a biological imperative to alphaism. In ants and bees, you have the queen bee or the queen ant, right? So there is a biological case to be made for something like this. And in some sense, even gender roles have biological implications because in certain animal species, certain genders do certain things and certain genders do not do certain things. For instance, in peacocks and peahens, peacocks are the more colorful, vibrant, expressive, dancing, singing ones, and peahens are generally the more colorless, which is the opposite in men and women. So whether something exists in biology, in animal kingdom and will exist in humans is not a given. But that's what generally people are talking about when they say alpha males. And alpha male is somebody who asserts himself and dominates the social environment they're in, and therefore people follow their lead. That's the implication of the internet world for it. I think if you try and use that strategy in real life, it doesn't work beyond a certain point. And
why?
Because one man is never strong enough to fight 5 men. So मतलब मैं इन दो लोगों को डरा दूंगा, ये दो लोग तीसरे के साथ मिल लेंगे, फिर मैं तीसरे को भी डरा दूंगा, ये 3 5 के साथ मिल लेंगे, तो फिर मैं अल्फा कहाँ रहा ना, वो 5 आके मेरे को पीट देंगे. It's a much more complex system. It's much more complex than how wolves operate or how chimps operate. However, what I think is an alpha male is somebody who takes on as much responsibility as he can so that more and more people can feel comfortable, relaxed, safe, certain around them. Okay. And I think that's the, that's how you be alpha.
That's a positive spin to it, for sure.
I think that's the only real way to be alpha in the long run.
Factual as it may be, the perception of that definition is not what it is.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think people should be learning about biology or sociology on the internet from provocateurs.
Yeah.
I think you should spend a little more time. And you'll see what they're talking about. It's like this, okay? Suppose this is a square and this is a rhombus. They kind of look similar and they overlap, but they're not the same. That's what's really happening. So the language used to describe these things is kind of like the rhombus. It's a 4-sided figure with equal sides. But it's not a square because their angles are not 90 degrees. And there is an overlap, so the area overlaps, but it's not the same. And you have to be much more careful. Now all this talking points about men, women, gender, this, that, they came on the internet post-22, right? This is post-COVID. Incidentally, I was reading all this stuff in university. My classes were around evolutionary biology, psychology, and this and that, and mating strategies. And I actually spoke to the guy who did all the research that these guys quote or misquote recently on this tour. And we discussed this at length. Why do people like the people they like? Is it alpha males really that women like, and so on and so forth. And so I did a lot of this scientific background before content. So I have a sense of what the research says. And therefore you can maybe posit that this is what research concludes too. But to just pick up what Andrew Tate says is kind of unfair to describing the situation. That's what I think really happens. I think alpha males, as good as they are for society, have acquired a bad name because they've been represented poorly.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Okay. From what we were discussing earlier, right? We were talking about ultimately when the door closes, it's between husband and wife. So we're going to talk a little bit about your love story. How did you meet your partner? Where did you meet her? You all come from very different worlds also.
Very different.
So talk to me about that.
Remarkably different worlds. We come from halfway across, actually probably the same latitude, which kind of helps. I really think people from similar latitudes behave similarly, but that's a separate story. I met her in New York. I was still in school. She was a working woman in New York. I think she'd just moved, is my understanding, and I'd just moved back. I know you travel to New York pretty often.
Yeah.
Did you study there?
No.
Okay.
I'm between New York and India.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Kind of similarly. And so I was between New York and India, and I just moved back. And I was actually at a pre-game for a Monolink concert. For anybody who does not know Monolink, you should definitely check that guy's music out. He's amazing. And this was hosted by a friend of mine. And so I think I've told this story somewhere, I don't remember where, but I'm just sitting there and Clau, who's my wife, now soon to be wife, and her friend Isa, they walk in. And 5 minutes later, I find that for whatever reason in conversation, Klau's giving me a lot of spice, like she's throwing a lot of shade at me. I'm like, I don't remember asking for this, like, ye kahan se? And then, intrigue kicked in. I was interested, and then we started, I think we exchanged numbers that night. I never went to the concert afterwards because I was doing something else. And then we just kept chatting. But in the initial dating period, I think within the first month or so, Clau was hit by a tragedy. And generally, in a month-long relationship, if you have emotional burdens, people leave.
Yeah, they bounce.
Right. But I remember when she told me about it, I wanted to stay. And so I held her through it, for good or for bad. A few months later, I was going through something. And I don't know if this is how all men are, but I found myself spiraling for many months. Upset, unhappy, and I would think that this is probably, like I told her, I think you should leave. I don't think I'll get up and I don't think I'll be the man you once dated. And I remember her response was just, she was just like, are you out of your mind? You? Like, come on. You are more than what you think you are. And it blew my mind that somebody could look at me better than I looked at myself and hold me like this. And so in that moment, I kind of knew. I knew that this is going somewhere. There are challenges that come in a relationship, and so I wanted to be कि ऐसा ना हो कि अभी मेरे को लग रहा है out of romance और शादी कर लो बाद में नहीं हो. So we waited a little while, but I set the intention then and there. I said, listen, if this works out over a period of time, we'll get married. And the day is here. And now when I think back of it, because I remember when I left New York and moved back to India somewhere in the close of 23, I put it on my phone and I told her, I said, September 2025, we'll get married, no matter what. If things are great by then, we are going to get married. And I set certain goals for myself by then too. Forbes 30 was one of them, bestseller book is one of them, some stuff like that. And all of that happened. And I'm not a believer of this manifestation stuff generally, but all of that happened. Literally all those goals are checked off. It's like one of those images in my gallery and I'm like, magic's real.
Wow.
Right? And so it was a fluke. All of it was a fluke. When I talk to my friends now who are looking for partners, because FOMO kicks in when your friend gets married, right? And they talk to me, like, oh, how do I go about it? I'm like, first of all, I don't think you can be looking for it. But it's tricky because you also cannot be doing the opposite, which is finding hookups on dating sites.
Yeah, faffing completely.
Right? You cannot do either of. If you go out looking for it, you'll make very desperate calls. And if you go around just hooking up, then your intimacy needs are satisfied and you will never look for somebody worth dating. So you kind of have to straddle the middle. But yeah, it's a longer conversation and it's super funny. How should guys look for partners? Yeah, yeah, it's funny.
Do you ever face the cultural difference? For example, we're deeply rooted in a lot of different things here in India, right? How do you kind of manage that?
I'll tell you how I see it. I think there's no relationship that is not going to have its problems. You have to pick your problems, very honestly. If you think that I will pick somebody who lives next door and that will be smooth, sorry.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
It's never be. Yeah. So this is what I said. I said, listen, I'll take the cultural assimilation problem. But then I'm free from the emotional dissonance problem. I'm free from the money and finance. Like there is n number of other problems that I don't choose and I'll find a way to culturally figure this integration out. That's my chosen problem. So, abhi to koi problem nahi hai na. Like now she visits for a few months and whatever and It's still not living here. I think the cultural assimilation will begin once she moves here.
Permanently.
Yeah, or at least for as long as I'm here, and we'll figure it out. Like, we both understand the problem statement, we understand the kind of things that can happen, even though we don't understand its depth anymore, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's our claim, and it only makes sure that our emotional bond is tighter, because now we are fighting something else, the third thing, as opposed to each other. Yeah.
Got it.
So I said, let's just pick our problems and run with them. A problem is going to come regardless. Do you pick it, or do you just let the problem arrive at your doorstep? That's up to you.
Okay. So lucky me, I'm interviewing you right when you're about to get married.
Yes.
Right? And you just told me it's going to be half in Thailand and
Yes.
half here in Delhi.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about the wedding.
Well, the first part of the wedding is Klau's private art project. My wife's an artist, she's a painter. And she takes visual design and experience very seriously. And I'm only finding this out too. But she basically, from scratch, designed this whole experience that I have no idea about. I'm going to walk in and it'll be a surprise to me.
That's
right?
amazing.
So, and I should tell you, Karishma, मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा. मतलब the detailing is so mind-blowing. My wedding planner, who does this for a living, who's made millions doing this for a living, was like, boss, this is something else.
Wow.
Because she would make PowerPoint decks out of how she wants the napkins to be and where she wants the spoon and fork to be. Because for her, this is a experience for all our friends and family to be a part of.
It's an expression.
It's And so I think what she did is she took her art and extrapolated it to the world. And so the first hour of the wedding, which will include the majority of Indian Hindu ceremonies, but the conclusion will be a Catholic ceremony, right? The vows and kiss the bride and whoever is, I don't even know what generally happens. So that's the first hour of the wedding in Thailand. Then we do the fairas at home.
Okay.
And that was my insistence, we'll do it at home. I have all my memories at home, in the garden itself. I don't care if we can fit people or not. And then we'll do the reception somewhere grand. Wow. So that's the length and breadth of it. And I think the way Klaus designed it is very Indian, very Mexican. I don't know how she's fit two veries in the same glass, but it seems like it's working, so we'll figure it out.
We're excited to see photos and videos and all of that when it comes out, because I'm sure you're going to be cataloging it. I'm very interested to see.
I am too.
You are too.
I'm very interested to experience this surprise party for my own wedding.
I think most grooms feel that way.
I think so.
We'll show up.
Yeah, we'll show up and we'll do our bit. I think it's a core expression of masculinity. It's like, I know this is your special day.
Yeah.
You do it. I'm going to be the supporting act, and I'll be very
be the accessory.
And I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
Very happy with that. Yeah. So my orientation is I want to make sure my parents enjoy and she enjoys.
And
my friends will take care of themselves. They know how to enjoy no matter what is happening.
So what's the best part about her?
What's the best part about?
About your wife to be.
Where do I begin? I think in all fairness, jokes aside, I think there is a life to her. How do I say? There is a way she engages with life, which I would have never learned had I never met her. It's so active. It's so open. Like, she's meeting life with open arms, despite the hurt, the pain, the regrets, whatever that might be. It's almost like she's dancing with the universe. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Makes full sense. I see your poetry phase that's going on.
Yes.
It's very poetic.
Yes. And it's kind of like that. I would have been trapped in my masculine, I want to responsible, like that kind of robotic frame, had I not been hit with a brick of color by her. So I literally tell her, I say, your art brings color to my life. Because you do it with so much purity. I can see you dance for 8 hours and do your paintings. And it's a very different form of work than what I do, because you are truly present. And that's magical, dude. I think it's magical. She ties the family together. She has, despite her challenges, she has only love to give. And it's profound. It's quite something watching another person blossom in front of your eyes. It's a privilege.
That's so sweet. And
Thank
so
you.
happy for you.
Thank you.
And very excited, like I said, to see all of these cute wedding moments.
Yeah, so many, huh?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm a romantic. Anyway, so now we're going to go into a rapid fire. And it's going to be about podcasters, because...
Controversy time! Okay.
Yes. It has to be.
But I have one suggestion, sorry. If you ask me a question, I will shoot the same question back at you, because we're both podcasters. अच्छा नहीं मैं मजाक कर रहा हूँ स्ट्रेस मत ले यार मैं मजे ले रहा हूँ
Okay, fine, done. We'll do it.
Judgment passed. Okay.
I love how you have become the, the teacher who says, हाँ, चलो बच्चों.
For me, I don't care what the content is.
Okay, done. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
If all Indian podcasters were in a big boss house, who would be the first one to start drama?
I think it'd be me.
No.
You don't think so? What do you imagine? Ranveer starting drama? Don't laugh at that.
I think Ranveer
That's
is done with
suggestive.
drama.
That's suggestive.
Ranveer को रहने दो.
I'm just wondering, Nikhil's not going to cause any drama. Raj is not going to cause any drama. So...
You know, there were 4.5 lakh podcasts registered in India.
So, are we talking about 4.5 lakh people
It
inside
could
the Big
be
Boss house?
anybody. It could be anybody.
Let me think. The Untriggered boys might do it, but they're too chill for that. Let's see. Do you like starting drama?
No.
So then, by process of elimination, it seems like the answer is only me. I think I'm very like Delhi that way. So if you put me under certain reality show pressures,
Yeah.
the first one who'll speak their mind is probably me.
Wow.
You don't think so? Do I have consensus on this?
I would say,
Who do you think?
I don't know. I can't.
No, come on. You can't run away from this
So
question.
see, people have podcasts, right? They're
Right.
not necessarily podcasters.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yes.
There are people who have podcasts and then there are podcasters.
Podcasters.
Therefore, I think there are people in the category who have podcasts who maybe are very fluid and open with their expression who could succumb to drama.
And the answer being?
I can say like Urfi, for example.
Sure, but she knows reality shows well. Like she knows
Yeah,
that
she'll
game
do
well.
it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think, yeah.
In that vein, I think Apurva has a conversation show now. Rebel
yeah?
Kid. Yeah, I saw some clips of her doing Golgappas or something. I mean, it would be insulting to her if she did not call drama. She's known for that. And she's great at it.
Okay, fine. So we'll move on to the next. Give us a one-line review of each podcaster.
Okay, as long as you're ready to do the same.
Yeah. Raj Shamani.
Raj is extremely smart, extremely hardworking, brilliantly business-minded. The content is too boring to watch.
Raj made the most controversy in my life.
How?
Because I did a podcast with him.
You were on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Huh, and what happened?
certain clips were removed and cut and put on the internet.
Why do I feel like I remember something?
You will remember it.
I actually love Raj.
Even I love Raj.
He gave me direction when I don't think people would have picked my phone. And I should say this on camera because sometimes I've received advice about not talking about other podcasters because why would you use your show to promote somebody else's show? I say, can we swear on the show?
Yeah.
Okay, I say, fuck that. I think Raj's a golden-hearted fellow.
Yeah.
If Raj, if you're ever watching this, thank you so much, brother. I am who I am because you said those things to me.
I know he has such a sharp eye on content. So he told me, those clips na, solo pods, जो तू ये प्यार व्यार के बारे में बात करती है, वो ज़्यादा डाल. And I swear, like my following spiked when I just took a little bit of advice from him.
He's so
he
smart.
has a mad pulse.
Let me say one more thing about Raj while we're on the subject. I think people should meet him when he's not asking questions. Like, I think people should meet him when he's like off camera or like, I think it happened on Nikhil's show. When Raj was on Nikhil's show, I texted Raj and said, boss, this is the best work I've seen come from you.
You should see his podcast with me.
Okay.
Where he was on the show.
He's great.
He's like fully unfiltered and it was one of our best.
Was he at scale then or no?
He was not
Yeah.
at this scale.
Right, because scale changes a lot of what
Yeah,
you can say,
yeah.
right? But Raj is it's scarily intelligent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ranveer.
Extremely smart, extremely hardworking, socially stunted. Your turn.
Yeah, I don't really.
Sorry. I saw the expression. Sorry. Go on. What were you saying?
I just don't relate to the content to that.
I get it. I don't see. Look, I've never met the guy. I don't know this for certain. My observation is as good as somebody watching it. But I do think people underestimate just how smart he is because they don't know what it takes to do this. They probably underestimate how hardworking he is because I think he's the most hardworking of the
Dude,
lot.
he's hardworking like mad.
I
He
agree.
banks podcasts like it's a factory.
Yeah.
And like long, deep, intellectual, like full on podcast. So
I
it's
agree
not.
with everything you said except the last bit.
The intellectual.
or the deep, long, any of that. I think he's a great content person, probably not a great podcaster. And I think people see that and therefore have limited criticism for the guy. Having said that, it's not to punch down or punch up or any of that. I think again, I am who I am because of these guys. Because if I was not competing at their scale and not seeing what they were doing and how they were organizing themselves, I'd be nothing. So due credit where it's deserved. But as a consumer, my review is the following about these podcasters. Yeah.
Okay. Nikhil Kamath.
Nikhil's the most successful non-podcaster in the country. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. In person also, I've had the opportunity to meet him once. He's great.
Yeah.
He's the same guy.
Yeah.
Like we sat at lunch and he's like, so tell me about yourself. And I was like, it's the same fucking table, Nikhil.
Yeah.
So
he's
great.
amazing.
He's great.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that he's just nailed it. Like it's unbelievable. I was like, you know, when I saw it, I was like, dude, why do you want to start a podcast? You know, trying to, Okay. Karishma Mehta.
Who's
I
that?
will not.
Wait, are you asking about yourself?
Yes.
Okay, and that's completely game.
But then
you have to
yeah.
Okay. I think my honest feedback, apart from the jokes, I think you're the most emotionally mature voice in the game.
Oh, sweet.
I think podcasters are generally immature, including myself. I think you don't do that injustice to our format. So great, congratulations on that. I think you're actually, the way you talk, the way you present yourself, and the questions that come across, great. It's so, like, it makes you want to sit and listen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Okay, now I'll tell about
Yeah,
you.
your turn.
So I think you have a very different perspective on things that makes you think. And I truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because when you see content, you see things and you're like, I've seen this, I don't want to engage with it, right? But true engagement is when you're like, oh, so that makes sense. Let me think a little bit.
Right.
So I think that's what your content does for me, and I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. I'll run with that. Thank you.
We can keep doing this, Sunny.
Yeah. By the way, do you want to ask me about Karishma again? We can just table tennis some compliments around.
Okay. Which Indian podcast do you secretly listen to, like a guilty pleasure, but you wouldn't admit it publicly?
I think I'd admit it. Like, I'll tell you what all I listen to.
Okay.
So, I listened to Nikhil in his early run, up until a certain point. And I think I learned how to do business partly from those conversations. So, credit to him.
Yeah.
I listened to Dostcast. You know Dostcast?
No.
Dostcast is he's my best buddy from childhood. Him and I are both podcasters, funnily. But when he's talking, I feel like it's so intimate for me. I know this guy. I know what he's going to say. I know uski type ki bakchodi kya hai, wo kya bolega. So him I watch, and I let him know also ki I love watching your show. But I don't watch any other Indian podcasts really. Sandesh, I've seen a little bit of.
Yeah.
I've seen everyone a little bit of, frankly, everyone. Partly because of research, okay, what is their style, how do they approach the questions? It's not obvious what questions you ask in a conversation. And so, okay, this is their angle. For that reason, I watched all of them. I haven't been able to sit through all of them. It's a separate matter. But I've watched all of them.
Okay. One overused line you hear on Indian podcasts that makes you roll your eyes.
Dude, the whole thing, the industry is rinse and repeat. It's not a sentence. Like, if you think about largely, you can just make a, caricature for Indian podcasting as a scene.
Yeah.
Same guest, same topic, same audience, trying to pull the same numbers on the same thing.
Same time.
Same time.
किसी की picture आ रही है.
And it's gotten boring. It's gotten boring as an industry. As a player in the industry, it's gotten boring.
Yeah.
And I think the people are beginning to catch on because until last year, there was this novelty factor to who you can get with the audience and with the podcasters. Now, Modi ji's been on Nikhil.
Yeah.
Ab to Shahrukh, Salman's also been on Dum Biryani, the Dev and Arbaz's son. And then who left? Virat, I think Dhoni and Rohit.
I've interviewed Dhoni, not on a podcast, but on a panel.
Right. But and there's this novelty to, isko podcast pe le aaye. And I think even that has become almost non-judicious because everybody's pulling their punches. Nobody's really asking or nobody's trying to create something novel. We figured out a formula, you and I and all of us included, and we're just rinsing that on repeat. So podcasting as an industry, I think has slipped into worse than journalism. Sorry for the offensive take, but I think at least those guys are pretending to ask hard questions. We're just doing softball nonsense. So yeah, that's my take. I think overall, if we all don't take care of this, people will eventually catch on.
So he's not a podcaster, but you can anyways give a review on Samay Rana.
Well, I can say everything I've ever said to him about him, that's a lot. I think Samay is a genius. I think it's a generational talent, and we will watch this guy dominate the game he's playing. It will not even be close. Like, जैसे Messi, Ronaldo थे तो sort of close, and then everybody else, na. It'll be him, and then in 20 years, I mean, and then the rest of the world in comedy. And I'll tell you why. This is my guess. And when I talked to him, I was talking to him a couple of days ago. I said, bro, so much of who I want to become, I reference from you, because you are probably the least afraid person and the most in touch with your voice person I know in the game per se. Samay has this distinct ability to always focus on having the most amount of fun, no matter what he's doing. And his fun, luckily enough, by God's grace, is right where people enjoy it. मतलब, it's so magical कि आप नहीं भी फैन होगे ना हंस दोगे, और वो नॉन स्टॉप सिर्फ मस्ती ही कर रहा है. Like, if I ever go hang out with him, there's no general plan. He's just trying to have fun with his guitar. Sometimes he'll end up playing chess and he'll become very good at chess, or poker, he'll get very good at poker. If he starts playing the guitar, suddenly he's great at it. He picks up comedy, he's generational at it. So Samay has this divine touch with his inner self. At least that's what appears from the side. And he does it phenomenally well. He just follows his instinct into fun, and success arrives on the other side. बाकी हम लोग कितना कुछ सोचते हैं कि ऐसे करेंगे तो वैसा हो जाएगा, ऐसे करेंगे. If anybody was ever thinking हमें India's Got Latent जैसा शो करना चाहिए, most people like नहीं करना चाहिए, ये अच्छा idea नहीं है. But Samay is just trying to have fun, and he built probably the most popular IP on YouTube last year and probably ever.
By a mile.
By miles.
Yeah.
The entire industry was lifted because of that, because so many people who had been washed out in media before were now being recycled into the Samay universe, and they were doing their thing. People were watching more comedians, more podcasts because of that. And so I think he's generational talent. Generational talent. And I cannot say that enough.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I genuinely think so. I think his ride is going to be great to watch. Him and the other guy is Rishabh Sharma. You know that sitarist fellow?
Yeah, of course.
Generational talent.
Yeah.
I've known him a little bit before because we were both in New York. And I'd known him when things were not what they are for him now. And I remember हम एक दिन दोनों छत पे बैठे हुए थे मेरे घर पे, and we were both like, भाई कब होगा भाई एक दूसरे को, भाई ये तो क्या दुनिया है भाई. And it's amazing what he's pulled up.
Yeah. It's beautiful. His music is beautiful. Yeah.
The persona, the way he carries himself, the way he communicates about it, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, to have had a close enough seat to watch those journeys is a privilege.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit about life in Faridabad.
Sure.
As you said, you have come from there and you want to...
From the hinterlands of Faridabad.
What is this perception? कि ज़्यादा loud है, rough है? There's a perception about this.
No, है.
अच्छा,
हम भी
है.
परेशान हैं उससे.
हाँ.
हमें भी लगता है कि यार इतना loud नहीं होना चाहिए. देख, see, I feel like eventually you have to resign to your circumstance and have fun. Because I'll say something offensive and people don't like it. I don't think Bombay is particularly beautiful. Anybody who thinks that is completely out of their mind. You lived in New York. You know what I'm talking about. But we find joy in it. वो क्या कहते हैं, the spirit of Bombay, एक दूसरे की बाहों में घुसे हुए हैं लोग ट्रेन में. That's not ideal, but we find joy in it.
Yeah.
In the same way, Faridabad's loud, Faridabad's polluted, Faridabad's a headache of a city, but we learn to find joy in it. So the reason is one, Haryana, right? The second is a large part of Faridabad got rich by selling land. And that's a very different kind of rich than by setting up a factory or by working a job. Because it's immediate rich, and immediate rich comes with the loudness of richness.
So what's the loudest, the richest thing that you've seen, right? Being like, dude, why have you bought this?
Actually, I would like to give that answer to that. My best friend just built his house right across the street from me. Boss, that house is bigger than most Oyos. It's so huge. मेरे घर में धूप नहीं आती इस चक्कर में यार. वो इतना बड़ा घर है भाई, वो ऐसे करके देखना पड़ता है वो घर. पता है उसकी प्रॉब्लम ये है, उसने अपने घर की लिफ्ट नहीं ऑन कराई, कह रहा है मेरे को खाना ऊपर से नीचे लाने में पच जाता है. इतना ऊंचा घर बनाया बंदे ने भाई. It is unbelievable. It's crazy. So people will have beautiful houses in Faridabad because that's the one place they can spend time and money in.
Yeah.
My other very close friend has a private theater this size in his house with like you could accommodate maybe 100 people in there. He has 2 old gaming consoles, you know, the ones with the sticks. And then he has a Like he has movie nights almost every night. His wife, my wife, our friends, we all get together, watch movies.
Wow.
So it gets absurd like that.
Yeah.
Money gets absurd like that in Faridabad. मतलब थिएटर ही बना लिया, कौन जाएगा मूवी देखने? घर पे कराओ, घर पे बनेगा ये.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, very fun. But Faridabad life is very limited in that way. Just Chandigarh life, no, you were limited to house parties, and so houses become grander, and the public spaces just don't exist. There's no third space. Like Bombay has a rich third space culture.
Yeah.
That's not the case
That's
in Faridabad or even Delhi to that extent.
So when you talk about balance, right, you talk about hookup culture, but still being open to love because the prospect is there, right, that one day I'll find that person. But a lot of people in the interim are like, ठीक है ना, वो जब होगा, till then I can have very casual relationships.
Sure.
Situationships.
Sure.
How does one truly find love? Like if men had to, have a playbook and say that, okay, just do these 2 or 3 things and your chances of finding the one like you did yourself go up or are far higher than when you're not doing these things.
I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of self-assessment that would go into something like this. I mean, I'm not convinced a 22-year-old necessarily needs love. Like you're 22, you've just gotten out of college, you're starting to make money. If you hook up, whatever, your choice. I'm fairly hands-off in, socially speaking, I don't want to make decisions for anyone, right? So, like you need to trust your own wisdom when it comes to that. I think the problem really happens closer to marriage or like closer to 30 when people begin to consider, अच्छा मेरे को शादी करनी है. But now you're stuck in your pattern. Like I have a friend who's prolific on dates, right? Like women love him, and he'll come back to me and be like, yeah, I don't find anybody worth marrying, right? And I'm like, bro, you go out on probably 4 dates a week, all different, by the way. How is that possible? Either your pre-selection is improper, like the kind of people you're going out on dates with, you would not date them beyond the hookup. In which case, that's a you problem, boss. Yeah, self-select better. And so I think it happens closer to that time when push comes to shove. Because the question, as you phrased it, is so broad and there's so many ifs and buts and so many angles, it's hard to answer in a generic way.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess like whatever floats your boat, standard philosophy. However, if you're looking for something specific, then at least try and approach that. Don't say yes but want no. Don't say right but go left. Like that's just stupid. And people do that all the time.
Say you go on a date.
Sure.
And the girl is interested. Now, there are a lot of people who are very comfortable with ghosting, right? Like, dude, it just didn't go well. I met this person once. What is there to lose?
Yeah.
How do you avoid ghosting?
How do you avoid ghosting as a man?
Yeah. Like, how do you not partake in it?
How do you not ghost somebody else?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question in reverse. Do you think always telling the truth about the continuity of a date is the best thing to do?
Yes.
You think regardless of, say you go out on a date with a guy who has foul breath and now you don't want to see this person again.
This is a very, right. Okay, so now this is a nuanced question, right?
Okay.
Like, for example, this is a very specific thing. But if I am not interested and if I know that this is not going anywhere, I prefer that I don't waste anybody's time.
Agree.
Because for me, time is everything, right? Like I don't want to be wasting another minute if you're very sure. And like, right? Like you
know very instantly.
You definitely know that it's not happening vis-a-vis that this is a long-term thing. So that's fine, that can play out. But you know when it's not happening. Isn't it just so much easier than ghosting to be like, hey, listen, I don't think it's really imbibing and maybe we're not, compatible, but like, I wish you all the best.
No, see, I largely agree. I'm trying to go back in time and see if I was ever ghosted on or if I ever ghosted. But it's been so long. I've been out of the dating world. I can't even do math. I think if you're ghosted on, you should know very quickly you're being ghosted on and have the kind of resilience to be like, fuck it, move on, next, right? Like, I'm just looking at the future now. I'm not lingering over this.
I think for women, it's just, look, I just fundamentally think dating now is, especially in your 30s or like late 20s, is like, there are men who are like, yaar, this is going to go very fast, very serious. Like, it's going to cascade and I'm going to be sitting on the mandap.
Yeah,
right?
in 6 months.
In 6
Give me
months.
और 6 महीने में शादी
Yeah.
करूंगा, हाँ.
So therefore, he is just a little bit like aloof or like standoffish, right? Or looking at other potential options. Women, on the other hand, fundamentally have the need to then settle and say, I'm not looking for frivolous.
Yes.
So therefore, I think there is a little bit of a tug of war.
Agreed.
In just expectation setting that this is what I want and this is what I want.
I'll tell you something about this. This is so funny. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he was dating somebody for over a decade until last year when they broke up. It was horrifying for him. In fact, I was meeting him after a while and he had some white hair on his thing. So like it was genuinely horrifying. But I was like, how are you doing now? He's like, I'm great. I was like, why? He's like, bro, I'm going out on infinite dates. And it's so easy. And I was like, what do you mean it's easy? And so we got talking about it and he said, you know, I think it's something strange that now that we are 30 and above, have money in our pocket, have status behind us, suddenly, even if I don't want frivolity, frivolity is coming to me. And it's like, as a 20-year-old, dating is very different.
Yeah.
Because तू डेट पे ले जाके खर्चा भी नहीं कर पाएगा. तू सोच रहा है यार इसने 1500 रुपए की शराब ऑर्डर कर ली, मैं क्या करूंगा इसके बाद, right? But suddenly in your 30s, you have that kind of confidence also. You've seen the world.
You have the
enough.
disposable income
You
also to be
disposable
like,
income.
let me do
And
things.
women generally like men who are slightly older than them. So like the range of options probably expand. I think that is what also causes a little bit of the tug of war.
Yeah.
That optionality shifts and then mood shift. I don't think it's wise, which is what I said to my friend. I said, if you're considering going back into the marriage pool or like looking for marriage in whatever way, तो भाई ये तो help नहीं करेगा. Like frankly, you'll just never. तो फिर वो सोच रहा था अपनी सफेद दाढ़ी पे हाथ रख के ऐसे कि क्या करूं मैं. But yeah, I think that's something like that occurs. Yes.
Yeah, it's a tug of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that. I'm also sure what happens closer to 30 for guys is अब तो कल ही ढूंढो. मतलब चाहे वो अरेंज सेटअप में हो चाहे वो खुद ढूंढे. बिल्कुल अभी मिला हूं, मेरे को बड़ी पसंद आई है, इससे शादी कर लूं क्या?
But I have noticed something even funnier. The FOMO in boys, whose all friends start getting married, is such a propeller कि अब मुझे शादी करनी है. Seriously.
हाँ हो सकता है.
Seriously.
I've never felt that.
I've seen it. Dude, everybody's married in my circle. Sorry, I don't have anybody to hang out with anymore.
Right. I'm sure there's a loneliness aspect.
Yeah. So now I really want to get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only the second guy in my friend group getting married. Right?
Yeah.
So
But
like,
it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It'll happen. Like a few
हाँ,
years.
हम भी प्रेशर डाल रहे हैं 2-4 लोगों पे कि करो भाई क्या सोच रहे हो.
सब साथ साथ चलते हैं.
नहीं वो तो that's all fun and games, but I do think कि eventually वो isolation आ जाता होगा यार. और and it's not like I think the grass is always greener on the other side also.
Yeah.
So you start seeing your friends, you're like अभी ये तो अच्छा लग रहा है यार, शादी कर लेते हैं. And because how would you know what the experience of marriage looks like? I mean, 3 weeks on this side of marriage, I don't know what to expect on the other side, right? But you have a sense from watching people, and that sense is never really the actual depth of
Or
it.
you have a sense if you've lived with the person. You
Sure.
have some sense.
Some sense, yes.
This is what life will look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really starts happening. There is a cascade. It's true. Like suddenly everybody will be married in the next year and a half.
No, it's a cascade. In the past 3 years, everybody around me has had babies.
And what do you think of that?
Everybody. I mean, I think it's great for them.
Sure. How do you see that for yourself? Like, does that impact how you see the world?
No.
No, it doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
Like I froze my eggs. I was very sure that I'm not in the space or, like the
Zone. Yeah.
right? To be in motherhood for sure. But like then you're at a space where, dude, I kind of need to make new friends or like find other people to hang out with because like, like.
They have to be single. They have to be.
I mean, not even just single, right?
But free.
But like I've sat at tables where the conversation's been about nannies and I'm like, shit, dude, I don't know what that feels like, but it sounds tough and it sounds rough. Yeah.
I've been told that this conversation will figure itself in my life.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like, the best kids are someone else's. So, I mean,
My brother's kid is crazy good, by the way. I love him.
See, exactly. The kid starts crying. You're like, here,
My nephew
please.
is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, so those kind of things change, where you have to make new friends or you have to figure out where you are
I think
in life.
once you get into a couple also, then a new search for friendship begins where you're like, I want couple friends
Even couple friends,
who
yeah.
have similar interests.
Correct.
And then one day you're at some ski lodge in Colorado and you're like, wow, this is the most couple thing I've ever coupling done. Like,
Yeah.
fucking everybody's couples here cooking. Like, what happened to boys doing boy shit? And so, like, that change also happens very fast. you
Yeah.
know? I went from like doing dumb, stupid boy shit to suddenly in a couple with other couples doing exquisite, luxurious, tasteful things. in a
Wine
matter of few
tasting
minutes.
with cheese.
I think Clara would enjoy wine tasting. I think I would enjoy just drinking and commenting on it.
क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे, you know?
ये लोग ये क्या कर रहे हैं? थूक क्यों रहे हैं? पियो? पीने आए हो तो पियो?
Yeah.
Like some like stupid shit like that. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about your US tour.
Oh yeah. I think it's the most exciting thing I've done in my professional life. And so this was literally on a whim. The choice was, do you want to do a bachelor's or do you want to advance your career? And I said, Ansh, let's advance our career. So me and him, we flew out to New York. And New York's like home. I spent 6 to 7 years. And deep roots, like friends I would fight for and friends who would fight for me. And that has happened. So, I mean, we started off in New York. We did New York, Boston, DC, New York, Mexico City, Miami, Austin, Dallas, LA, Vegas, SF, Boston, New York. How many is that? 15, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
So we just covered the length of the country. And it was just him and I.
Yeah.
Great bonding time, by the way. But a lot of driving cars, a lot of flying, a lot of trains, a lot of buses, a lot of playing chess, and a lot of great conversations. And what I enjoyed was, I think it could be a personality thing too. Like when I start expressing myself in English, I get much more comfortable. I should tell you about this one fellow I spoke to. His name is Ben Lamb, and he's running this company called Colossal. Colossal is solving de-extinction. Now, what does that mean? That means they're taking species that are dead and extinct and bringing them back to life.
Wow.
This is biological miracles. And ek to, on the face of it, you're like, wow, you can bring woolly mammoths back to life? What in the fuck? Then they told me to effect this process, because karna kya padega, you'll take a fossil of a woolly mammoth, extract DNA, see what is missing, recreate it with AI, use the closest living relative, which is an East Asian elephant, and insert those things, then take the embryo and put it in an East Asian elephant. So the gestation period is whatever it takes for the female elephant to deliver. They said, you know what, this is too slow. Let's make artificial wombs. So they created silicon-based, or I don't know if it's silicon as a substance, but basically non-carbon wombs where they can place infinite embryos like this.
Wow.
So they can produce life in a lab, kind of like God. And so I was asking questions about implications of this. Can we bring dead people back to life? Can you go so far as to bring dinosaurs back to life? Like, this is Jurassic Park level stuff.
Yeah.
And mind-blowing. I was at Boston Dynamics, the most famous robotics company in the world, and they let me play with the robots, kind of like on an Xbox controller. And you're literally holding the future in your hands. You're literally holding things that will... How long ago were you in SF or LA?
3 months ago.
3 months ago. You've seen those little doggies that deliver food now?
Yeah.
Right?
In SF, yeah.
In SF and LA, both.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Or the Waymos.
Yeah.
That
Of
just
course,
hum
the
and
Waymos, yeah.
We are already, my sense from this trip was, we are already in the future.
Yeah.
And India cannot be on the last seat of the conversation of future.
Yeah.
And so halfway through this trip, I was like, this is a great agenda. Like, this is what I want to do. You need to bring these conversations home. Kisi ko pata hi nahi hai Colossal ke bare mein. They've already gotten direwolves back to life, by the way.
Wow.
Direwolves have been extinct for, I don't know how, Dodo the bird, I think is on their thylacine, which is Tasmanian devil or Tasmanian tiger or something is on there. So, we are already in the future. These robots that Boston Dynamics make are already in factories all around the world. And we were talking about why Indian factories have a harder time adopting robotics. Longer conversation, but it will happen. I don't know if you came across this recent proper media flash from this company. Neo naam tha na Ansh uska? The ones who do robots at home. Neo. It's a company based out of Norway. Norway? Yeah, Oslo. And they've built basically a domestic robot, a domestic help robot, who can do, or at least they claim, can do all your tasks, including giving medicines to the elderly, taking care of the elderly, taking care of kids, so nannies, cleaning the house, folding your clothes, laundry, this, that, everything. And it's worth 20K USD. It's less than 20 lakhs, which is less than a standard car.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a
The
no-brainer.
economics will take over.
Yeah.
And we are a labor-dependent country. When that shift begins to happen, हम तब बात करेंगे क्या? When AI did happen, and you see we were in Las Vegas, and I had spoken to one of the best poker players of all time. I enjoy playing poker. It's one of those things, and we drove back all the way from his house to our hotel, and Vegas is no longer what it used to be. When were you in Vegas last?
Last year. Yeah, last year.
Oh, last year.
Last year.
But I feel like it's just gone to the dogs. It's not that exciting thing it was before.
I was there for a very short period, so I didn't really capture the pulse. I was there for like one meeting and.
Me too. Like, I mean, it's funny they say that India smells because Vegas smells of fart. Like the whole thing. It's pathetic. And it was so difficult living in that room because you can't stop smelling that shit. So I had Ansh, I was like, Ansh, please call the room service and have somebody fix this. And so Ansh calls room service and he's on this call and speaker for 3.5 minutes being spoken to by an artificial intelligence voice. And it's handling his accent, his vocabulary, everything. And eventually he's like, I will send somebody over, sir. And it's all a robot.
Yeah.
And so all blue collar jobs vibed hotel industry mein instantly, like you'll see all this phone handling stuff is gone. Then I spoke to the CEO of Perplexity. And we discussed what it means for machines to be intelligent, which was a great conversation. Figuring out if machines are even intelligent or are they just replicating what looks like intelligent behavior. Very nerdy stuff that I thoroughly enjoyed. But yeah, largely, I mean, great set of conversations, very different because the tonality, the way those guys talk and their culture is slightly different. And I'm now speaking to somebody in Australia in 2 days and then somebody in England in a few days. And so, like, let's bring all that home.
Yeah.
And these guys are super interested in talking to India. My mind was blown by how interested these people are to say, hey, let's talk to India. There's a huge part of the world we've never looked at.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it's obviously all part of the flow, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah. And you know, contrary to popular belief, because having lived there very long, I didn't see an anti-India sentiment there ever. There's an anti-immigration sentiment now, and Twitter is rife with anti-India. But all these top players, nothing. They love it.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're going to see certain things that have that virality factor because it's negative, right? And that'll always propel more. Like, it's just how news travels, right? Nobody's going to broadcast something that's positive and happy and cute and cuddly. You will broadcast something that's scandalous and being like, oh my God, this happened and it's so bad. So I just think that it's not a reflection of the overall sentiment.
Yeah,
it's a reflection of a particular sentiment.
Right, a loud particular sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, changed my view on the situation, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of this.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That brings us to the end. I've had a...
How long have you been talking?
1.5.
Wow, that was like a breeze.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're great at this.
Wow, thanks. You can say it again if you want.
You're great at this. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you've not subscribed to this channel, if you're here from my channel, make sure you subscribe to Humans of Bombay. This is a stalwart in the industry. Karishma, you were absolutely what I thought you would be. You were so calm, and the way you ask questions, really, I've not said a lot of this, and I cannot say a lot about what I've not said because I generally say everything. So thank you so much. This was very interesting.
And I had so much fun and I learned a lot. Like, I'm going to go check out all these companies. Like, my mind is like, wow, that's happening. I want to see a dodo.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Yeah.
I think the Ambani should bring one into Vantara.
Yeah. Like, we should all be looking at dodos.
Yes. Oh my God. Can we stop talking about the same thing over and over, beating a dead horse, and instead go look at a dead dodo?
Yeah. What a fantastic way to end this episode, Prakhar. Thank you so much, and all the best for the wedding.
Thank you.
And we're so happy and excited for you.
Thank you. I hope you had fun.
Yeah.